Yo, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another discussion video. Today we're talking about the set 14 SCRs. Yes, we're only talking about 3 cards, but we all know at this point just how much impact SCRs have in gameplay. They're super strong and impactful cards, and one of the SCRs in this set is going to go down as one of the best SCRs in the game, so it's all worth talking about. If you guys are new here, make sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell so you never miss a video. And if you guys want to help support the channel, there are many ways in the description as always, but particularly today, guys, if you're looking for custom sleeves, play mats, any TCG accessories like that, be sure to use the link in the description to yourplaymat.com. You will get 10% off your order there. For an art sleeve that does not peel, shuffles incredibly well, it's super good. They've sent me several packs of sleeves, and I'm super happy with the product. So guys, go check them out. Once again, 10% off your order in the description with the yourplaymat.com link there. Let's get into the video. Alright, so to preface this video, we're going to talk about each of the set 14 SCRs, but in doing that, we have to talk about Supreme Kai of Time, Space Time Unraveler, and Heroine's Lineage. These cards came out relatively recently over the past year or so, and they are definitely the most generic, if not the best SCRs in the game. Definitely talking about Supreme Kai of Time when I mentioned the best SCR in the game. Like, it's not going to be the best in every single situation. There might be a situation where, like, Primal Carnage is better than Supreme Kai of Time. Like, there are very niche, nitpicky situations like that, but for how generic and how good this SCR is, it is by far the best SCR in the game for what it does and all the avenues that it covers. Heroine's Lineage is a little bit different in the sense that it's more of a budget SCR, so if you can't afford a card like Space Time Unraveler or Cell Xeno, you know, pre-errata before its price really took a dump, Heroine's Lineage is a really solid SCR in filling that role as an SCR like Kai of Time, where you can play it in just about any deck. So we're going to kind of use these cards, more so Supreme Kai of Time, but these cards as like the gold standard of what I want to compare the set 14 SCRs to. And we'll also do some comparison of the set 14 SCRs within their own respective color pools, right? So I just want to preface that, get that out of the way. Let's talk about our first SCR in set 14. Majin Buu Kibito Kai Absorb. This card is going to go down as one of the best SCRs ever printed gameplay wise. The card is just absolutely incredible. 8-drop 40k double strike. The evolve does not matter. Permanent, this card will be removed from your battle area or move it from the game instead. Auto Spirit Boost 2. When this card's played from your hand, choose one of your opponent's unison cards and gain control of it. Then activate main / battle, pay 2 green. Play this card from your hand and your opponent can't attack with battle cards for the turn. Okay, there are so many reasons why this card's insane. So firstly, it's a green SCR. Green has been the weakest color in Dragon Ball Super for several sets now. This card is, even though it's just a one of, it's a super huge power spike to the entire color of green in general. Again, we'll get to other SCRs in green and compare and contrast them, but just in this card in a vacuum, the Spirit Boost 2 ability is absolutely insane. Taking control of one of your opponent's unisons, obviously this is the first time we've ever seen an effect like that, and as it's being ruled now, this could change, but as it's being ruled right now, if you take a unison from your opponent with this Spirit Boost 2 ability, and you have unison in play already, you're going to be able to control 2 unisons at the same time. It comes down to a really weird wording and ruling thing where like the unison mechanic says you can only place one unison in your unison area, but taking control does not consider playing or placing, as far as I'm aware. I might be butchering the ruling explanation there, but that's more or less how I understand it. And again, it could change. It could be a situation of Bandai says so, and then in the FAQ they say, no, when you take a unison, your unison goes to the drop area. I could definitely see that happening, but as it's being ruled right now, that is how this ability is going to work. So it's been really insane where, like, I'm playing green and I have like a Demigra unison or like a Dark Broly green unison, and I take control of my opponent's Majin Buu Agent of Destruction unison or like their 3-drop baby unison. There's just been some really insane effects like that that are super strong. So that ability is absolutely insane. The active main / battle is also incredible. So comparing it to Kai, because this is a very similar effect to Kai in a lot of ways. So the activate main / battle, this card has the ability to be played at any point during your turn without having to actually enter the combo step, which is a slight weakness of Supreme Kai. Not the most inherent weakness, but like you can run into some situations where like you attack your leader, activate battle, play Kai, and if your opponent's playing yellow or anything with disruption during the combo step, really, they get their combo step during that leader attack to then like mess with your Supreme Kai. Like they get power of a Super Saiyan, tap it, or possibly remove it depending on what they're playing. So this card has that activate main speed, and yes, it can be counterplayed. There's no deflect or anything. It's pretty much safe from Frieza Charismatic Villain and most things that would KO it upon entering. But yeah, this card's relatively safe. You don't need to be in the combo step to play it. It does cost 1 additional energy compared to Supreme Kai of Time, but in theory it stops more attacks. It stops all of your opponent's battle cards from attacking for the turn, as opposed to Kai that only stops the leader and the unison. So if your opponent orders their turn in a certain way, Kai can lose some value. But we know in Dragon Ball Super you can spam a ton of battle cards, so this can always pick up value. So this card easily is going to go down as one of the best SCRs ever printed. Let's compare it to its other green SCR pals. So, okay, when looking at this, we're going to talk about Cell Xeno and Speakable Abomination, because even though it's a green-yellow SCR, it's been played in many mono-yellow decks and many mono-green decks. But we know going into set 14, this card's seeing a huge errata. And there are a lot of decks that, like, if you can assemble the board presence to play Cell Xeno easily, again, pre-nerf, you're gonna just play Cell Xeno, like Sin Shenron, like Green Gotenks, some iterations of Mecha Frieza. If you can assemble that 12 cost on board easily, you're gonna play Cell Xeno. But with the errata, that's definitely not gonna be the case anymore. You're probably not gonna play Cell Xeno unless you can get the board presence online and your strategy is able to play till turn 5, because you're not really getting much value at all out of Cell Xeno unless you actually wait until turn 5. So that's not going to really be too much of an issue anymore. The main comparison is going to be Majin Buu, Incarnation of Demonic Evil, and Grade 8 Mass Saiyan Primal Carnage. Incarnation of Demonic Evil is not a bad card, but it's not particularly amazing. The main place it's seen a lot of play has been in the King Cole deck, because the Unison is a triple strike win condition. So attacking with that and then countering with this card is good. So this card's definitely a lot more niche than any of the other SCRs here on the screen. So I don't really think that Kabuto Kai Absorb is going to be much competition or see much competition from Demonic Evil. Great Mass Saiyan Primal Carnage, though, is actually always a green SCR I definitely want to consider when I'm building green decks, because that removal of anything in the game is a really powerful effect. You're really not going to resolve the activate main all that much, but if you're able to in a matchup that doesn't have a counterplay to stop it, it can be really good. But yeah, that one-off just like kill anything in the game during either player's turn is very powerful. But I think Kabuto Kai Absorb is going to be the better SCR in a lot of scenarios. Maybe you'll play a deck where you really just can't afford 2 energy defensively. Maybe that'll be where Primal Carnage comes in. And it's nice that Primal Carnage is a bit of a cheaper SCR. So those of you guys that want to play green and want a budget SCR, you have Primal Carnage or Heroine's Lineage. But yeah, I do think Primal Carnage is going to give Kabuto Kai the biggest run for its money as far as like pure green decks are concerned. But I think in most situations, if you have Kabuto Kai, you're going to want Kabuto Kai instead of Primal Carnage. But again, that could all be dependent on format, stuff like that. It could change. Next up, we're moving on to 17 Sibling Absorbed. Looking at this card, I'm just going to say it is absolutely gross. I don't quite like it. But anyways, we have an 8-drop 40k SCR, Ultimate Deflect Critical, Counterplay, play this card, then choose one of your opponent's battle cards in rest mode, ignoring barrier, and place it under this card. The battle card has its skills negated for the turn. So this is worded very weirdly. So essentially what it is, you read the last line of text first. The played battle card has its skills negated for the turn. So this is essentially a Cold Bloodlust, and we'll talk about how it reduces cost in a second. Then you play this card, then choose one of your opponent's battle cards in rest mode, ignoring barrier, and place it under this card. So I don't know why they worded it like backwards, but essentially you Cold Bloodlust something. We know Cold Bloodlust is a Frieza only card. I was about to say Mecha Frieza because that's the only relevant leader it's played in. But yeah, it's a Cold Bloodlust, which is already a card limited to 1. So this is a very on par skill for that. But it also removes a battle card, assuming your opponent has a battle card in rest mode, which is not a very difficult thing to meet. Permanent, if it's removed from the battle area, it's removed from the game instead. And then permanent, if your leader and all of your energy are mono yellow and your opponent has 3 or more energy, reduce energy cost of this card in your hand by 7. So going back to the Supreme Kai of Time comparison, this is a 1-drop 40k attacking SCR, which is one of the really great things about Kai for sure. Has critical, which is a nice bonus, and it does offer you removal and effect negation. So what I really like about this card is that Blue Baby is such a popular card in the meta right now, and this is an answer to that card. Let's say you're just like teching against Blue Baby, or maybe sideboarding against Blue Baby. You have this card in the main board, and it's going to act very similarly to Tyrannical Blow, which is going to just stop the floodgate your opponent's using, and then you're going to be able to keep going in and attacking them and putting pressure on them. So I do like the card a lot. We kind of already talked about the comparison of Supreme Kai of Time and that 1-drop 40k attacker. The other main comparison is going to be Sin Shenron Corrupted by Darkness. This SCR is not bad. I mean, it's definitely going to be worse the majority of the time compared to Space Time Unraveler. I also think it's going to be worse compared to Sibling Absorb. I think Super 17 Sibling Absorb is going to be the better yellow SCR compared to Sin Shenron Corrupted by Darkness. And the main reason I think that is because yellow already has so many effects that just tap things down. Like, you just don't need that out of your SCR. That's where Sin is cool, because you can play him in non-yellow decks. But yeah, as far as yellow itself is concerned, I think Super 17 is going to be the better SCR choice. But in most of my yellow decks, to be honest, even in set 14, I've been choosing to go with Supreme Kai of Time, Space Time Unraveler. And that's because, like I was mentioning before, you don't really want something in your SCR that you already have a lot of access to in your color. And that's why I go with Space Time Unravelers, because it gives you that board wipe that yellow just doesn't generally have most of the time. But I can definitely see Super 17 still being absorbed for matchups like Blue Baby, and just being a general, like, generic cold bloodless. I do think it's a very good card in that respect. So super good SCR here, I would say. Not always gonna be better than Spring Kai of Time. Probably always gonna be better, though, than Sin Shenron Corrupted by Darkness, at least as far as yellow is concerned. And then we have, unfortunately, probably the coolest art SCR in the set, but the worst effect. SS Goku and Frieza Miraculous Conclusion. 8-drop 40k ultimate dual attack. Permanent, you cannot play this card from any area using skills, which there's just some stupid cooler that can bring this out, which is a stupid interaction. If you have 5 or more mono red energy, reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand by 3. Permanent, this card can't be removed from your battle area by your opponent's skills. That's kind of nice. Permanent, during battles in which this card attacked, you can't use cards from your hand in combos, and your opponent can't activate counter or blocker skills. Okay, so theoretically, you attack with this, your opponent can't block or counter, you can't combo, but they have to combo up to 40k to even get out of this damage. That's not really all that great. This just doesn't boast game-ending power like that. Yes, it does have 2 swings where it can do that, but one of the most popular cards in the meta right now, at least for yellow, is Vegeta's Final Flash, which will just negate this guy's skills altogether, which is going to make him pretty much irrelevant. Activate Mania Flare cards red, remove this card from the game, deal 1 damage to your opponent. Again, just very, very unimpactful. It's just not very good. Like, the SCR we just read actually counters this one pretty heavily, which is funny, and you're paying 5 for this as opposed to paying 1 for the Super 17 SCR. But just comparing it to the SCRs in its own color, I think Gohank's is just a better card. For 1 less energy, you get a board wipe, and you're essentially stopping 2 attacks on your opponent's next turn. And if you even want to just pay 5 for Gohank's on your turn, you get the Triple Strike Dual Attacker, 40k, and you get to restand him as a blocker during your opponent's next turn if he didn't finish the job there, and you're still stopping 2 attacks on your opponent's next turn. And then Frieza Armored Reborn, just comparing this as a 5-drop compared to a 5-drop Goku and Frieza. This card's a board wipe with Quad Strike, and you get your opponent's hand knowledge and pick a card out of their hand. Yeah, you got to be at 2 or less life, but that's pretty much manageable for most decks, especially red decks can get themselves down there when they need to. I'm not saying you're going to play Frieza Armored Reborn as the #1 red slot SCR. Gohanks probably takes that role, and then besides him, you're probably playing Spring Kai of Time or Heroine's Lineage in most red decks. But yeah, just not super impressed with the Frieza and Goku SCR in terms of power. Artwork is amazing though. I'm definitely gonna want to get one for my collection. But anyways, guys, that's what I got for you today. Hopefully the discussion was helpful in helping you pick out what SCRs you may or may not want to play or collect. Thanks for watching, guys. Leave a comment down below. I'll see you next time.